Read the label. You might be surprised at all the chemicals that go into the food you eat and the products you use around your very own home. I'm Melissa Yule, Chief Growth Officer of Elemental Impact, and I've spent my career building investment strategies, policies, and partnerships to deliver solutions to our climate crisis. And I am so excited about the Climate Tech Map. I recently became a mom, and it completely reframed my perspective on the impact of chemicals and plastics. When I was pregnant, it was like a masterclass in chemicals. I learned so much about how the things you use can directly impact your baby's development, from the food and medicine you should, and definitely should not, put in your body, to the products like makeup, sunscreen, or shampoo that you use that seep into your skin and into your bloodstream. Then, when my daughter was born, I learned about how much plastic leaches from containers into food, and just how hard it was to find alternatives that didn't involve plastic. Plastics are simply everywhere, from her blankets to her bottles. Plastics are one of the planet's most visible environmental problems. They're everywhere. But chemicals are just as widespread, though less obvious. Chemicals aren't the only main ingredient in plastics. They're also in the food we eat, the clothes we wear, the cleaners we use, medicines, fertilizer, fabric dyes, and the electronics we rely on. In fact, 96% of manufactured goods involve chemicals in some way. Unfortunately, this widespread use comes with a heavy environmental cost. The chemical industry accounts for about 5% of global energy emissions. Most of this pollution comes from producing a few key chemicals: ammonia, ethylene, propylene, and methanol, which together cause about 2/3 of the industry's climate impact. Producing these chemicals requires a lot of energy and depends on fossil fuels. This embeds carbon directly into the products. The good news is that if we can develop cleaner ways to make these core chemicals, we can cut emissions across many products, including plastics. By improving chemical production, we tackle pollution from plastics and much more, making a big difference for the planet. There are 3 innovation imperatives. First, alternative production pathways. Right now, most chemicals come from oil and gas, which is energy intensive and pumps out a lot of pollution. But scientists are finding new ways to make these chemicals using cleaner, renewable sources like plants, captured carbon dioxide, or even waste materials. The goal is to create the same useful chemicals, but with a much smaller carbon footprint. The challenge is making these new methods affordable and easy to fit into existing factories and supply chains. Second, distillation and separation alternatives. Distillation is how factories separate chemicals by heating mixtures until parts boil off and then collecting them again. It's reliable but uses a ton of energy. Newer technologies like special membranes and filters can do the same job using much less heat, which means less energy and fewer emissions. Since plastics depend on these chemical processes, using lower energy methods can directly reduce the carbon footprint of plastic production. And finally, hydrogen infrastructure. Low-carbon hydrogen is a key raw material, or feedstock, used to make cleaner chemicals, including the building blocks of plastics. But hydrogen is tricky to handle. It's the smallest molecule and can easily leak from pipes and storage, which is both dangerous and bad for the climate. Innovators are developing safer and cheaper ways to transport and store hydrogen. These include better pipelines, on-site production, and advanced storage methods underground or at very cold temperatures. Making clean hydrogen widely available helps produce plastics and other chemicals with much lower emissions, cleaning up the supply chain. One moonshot is geologic hydrogen, which is hydrogen that is naturally occurring under the Earth's surface. The key to geologic hydrogen, though, is whether we can find deposits that are large enough to make it economically viable for us to go down and pull up that hydrogen to the surface. And if we can do this responsibly, it would give us hydrogen that is incredibly cost-effective, and we can use that to make chemicals in a much cleaner way. I would say to start in your own home. Look at the food that you're eating, the products that you use to clean, or even the clothes that you're wearing. Read the label. You might be surprised at all the chemicals that go into the food you eat and the products you use around your very own home. And if you're unfamiliar with any of them, look them up too. You'd be surprised at how many different chemicals surround our everyday lives. Well, I actually worked on updating the Toxic Substances Control Act of 1976, which hadn't been updated since it was passed. And what's wild is that there are all these new chemicals that have been created that actually aren't regulated, but they're showing up in our products and our food and things we use every day. And so I think we have this false sense of security that if we find it in our food or in our products, that it's actually being vetted and it's safe for us. And that's actually not the case. So what's so exciting about this space is there's actually an opportunity to innovate both on the policy side and on the technology side.